All right. So a very large part of this course is about analyzing texts. And before, of course, we start getting into the implicit and explicit meanings of a text and start working with it, the first step, of course, is to be able to get information from the text efficiently. So the very first thing, of course, you do is to be able to look at a text really quickly, get a general overview, and just to really quickly tell what it's about before you read it quickly. Sorry, before you start reading it properly. Uh, could someone tell me what that's called? What's the term we use for this? Like the overview reading of a text? Anyone, the term we use? Hmm? I think you'll know once I give the term. Skimming, right? I'm referring to skimming a text. So yeah, that's just the very first stage, and we'll talk about that in detail. How does that differ from scanning? Have you heard the term to scan a text? So skimming, like I said, is just a very quick reading, so you get a brief overall idea. And scanning a text, anyone know?
Is that when you look at it in a bit more detail?
Good, in a bit more detail, usually for a specific purpose.
To like seeing the main points?
In points, usually specifically if you can apply it to the main points, but usually if you're looking for a particular piece of information. So for example, to give you an everyday example, let's say there's a TV series coming out that I really want to watch, and I want to know what days and times it will be available. I find an article and I open it, and there's this wall of text. Now, I'm not interested in all the details. All I want is this very specific information. So I scan it. I look for numbers and I look for dates, and I can very quickly find the information. And I ignore 95% of the article, right? So it's a very sort of focused, targeted type of reading. All right. How do we skim texts? Do any of you practice this in some form? So if you get an article, you're reading something online, or a text in a textbook for school, do you tend to just you start the article or the text and you just start working through it word for word, or do you have some kind of an initial process of going through a quick overview reading like skimming? Do any of you do that? Yeah, Harriet's nodding. The Jason and Rachi, sorry, what's your name? I don't know what's the so you got so we didn't do introductions, so we're just quickly doing a sample lesson. Harriet, Jason, and what's your name?
Valentin, just you can call me Valley.
Valley, right. Jason, Valley, do you skim texts?
Yeah.
Do you do something like this? What are some of the strategies you use? Like how do you go about it? So
Yeah, I
let's say
do.
you've got a page long text and you don't want to do the whole thing word for word in maybe 30 seconds. How do you try and find the general meaning of it? What are some things that you do?
Yeah, I do that.
And what are some of the ways that you do it? Like what? What strategies do you use? Where do you start? Anyone?
I start normally with like a question or something like that, and then I'll have a look like what information I need to find in the whole text. So basically,
But what
on the
if it's not information specific? What if it's just a complete overview? Let's say you come across an article online, or there's a text you have to read for school, and you want to know very quickly, what is this about me? So you know that, okay, is this something I'm interested in? Will this be helpful to me in some way? So you want to very quickly know what it's about before you decide whether it's worth spending more time on it. What could be the very just to start really with the obvious, what would be a very good first step that we could take? Valley?
To try to find the keywords to the question.
Keywords, absolutely. But the very first thing that we usually do is, obviously, if a text has a title, that's where we start, right? So that to state the obvious, especially articles, of course, have titles. So you start with the title, and then very often, if they have, oh, are you there? Valley just froze. Can you hear me? Can you two hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, just checking it's his internet, not mine. Okay. And then, yes, title, and then often a text will have little subheadings, right? Like above every paragraph or every couple paragraphs, like a mini title. Read those. Those give you an idea. Of course, the introduction, the final concluding sentences, things like this give you an idea. That's where you start, and then after that, what Valley said, is the harder part, which is looking for keywords, and it's basically a lot of practice that will help you to identify how to look for keywords. Yeah, and of course, yes, you try to find some kind of overall purpose that sort of covers the whole of the text. Okay, I'm going to share an article, and what I want you to do is literally just take about 30 seconds and sorry about that. So if you see, I put an article in the chat. I don't know if you heard that part. Let's open it and take half a minute to just try and apply some of these techniques and answer the question of what is it about? Just a one sentence summary. Okay. Valley, you just left and re-entered. I don't know if you see the article. We're just doing a quick
Sorry,
scanning exercise. Right. Good.
Yeah, I see it.
Attends, là, t'es sur la... Touche pas, laisse-moi faire.
Okay.
Il faut
In
la
very
remettre
brief
dans-
and general terms, could someone tell me what this is about? Could someone give me a brief summary? Harriet, yeah?
How polar bears are managing to survive even though all the ice is melting. So it like gives hope for their species, even though the ice is melting, they're managing to survive.
Good, exactly. And where did you start?
With the title.
Title? Good. And then the title helps you not just to give a summary in its own right, it also gives you the key words. It helps you figure out what you should be looking for. I mean, obviously polar bears, but we're looking at something connected to survival in some sense. Sea ice, maybe hope, right? You find the key words, and then you can also expect to see more of those in the text. So surviving, so things connected to survival. So we could do, okay, there could be, then we find words like extinct, surviving, large decline, hope, right? Words which confirm this. So of course, if you just start with the titles, and here we don't have subheadings, that's already can basically tell you what's going on. And then if you want to practice it in a more more an advanced way, that's something you can look out for. Some of the keywords which Valley mentioned, looking for the keywords very often given in the title. All right. Let's look at one more text for skimming, a very different type of text. Okay, if you can see this text, same task in.
I don't see any. Is it in the top? Is it in the chat?
Here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's on the screen.
Oh yeah, here. I see it.
Very simple, like literally like a one-line sort of sentence. Okay. When you're ready, would anyone like to try and give me their summary? Don't worry if you're not completely sure. Just let's have an idea, and then we can work with it. Anyone have an idea? Did anyone know? Well, how did you start? So here, the article about polar bears is much easier because you have a title to help you a lot. You don't have a title here. So what's a good starting point with a text like this? Valley?
I started from the start, and then I skipped
Okay, you're
grammar.
muted. I can't hear you. I don't know if it's just me who can't hear
Can you
you.
hear me now?
Yes.
I started from the beginning, and then sometimes I focus on the numbers, so it remind me. That's it.
Did the numbers help you?
Yeah.
Our eyes are often drawn to numbers because they stand out from the words and the rest of the text.
Good. Yeah, the numbers did help.
Okay. What conclusion did you get from the numbers?
What do you mean?
Like it helped you. How did it help you? What were you able to see from the numbers? Like how did it help you?
Because I could see the change of the population and everything.
And so population changing.
Yeah, the increasing of the population, and what time, like I knew that it was with the numbers. I know that what time what.
Good. Okay. Sorry, unusually bad today. So yeah, the numbers, or what numbers are always usually quite helpful. But what else could we look at? What would be the great starting point instead of a title? Because we don't have one. Harriet?
Like the first sentence, normally that gives an overview. And then I think the numbers, what stood out to me is where, like what time period it's based in. It was in like the 1700s.
Yes. 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 The first sentence of a paragraph we usually call the topic sentence, because maybe you're familiar with the term a thesis. If you have an essay, it's usually a thesis, which basically says what the entire essay is about. A topic sentence does that for a paragraph. So the topic sentence here, and this is a very like a textbook perfect example of a topic sentence. The Treaty of Utrecht inaugurated an era of peace and expansion for England's continental colonies. Now, of course, I don't expect you to know what the Treaty of Utrecht is. Inaugurated, that's a bit of a fancy word meaning started. If you don't know that, the rest of the sentence can still help you figure it out. Peace and expansion, right? England's continental colonies. So colonies expanding, they're getting bigger. And then Bali, the numbers support this idea of getting bigger. So if we glance at the rest of the text, we see numbers getting bigger. We see a lot of lists of lots of different colonies. Nova Scotia, Georgia, North, Hudson River. So we've got lots of different names. We've got numbers which are getting bigger, right? And this all fits into the idea of England's colonies are getting bigger in this time period. Essentially, that's really it. So with a summary, we don't want to get bogged down in particular numbers and details and names and places. We try to avoid that. That's more of a scanning type of thing to look for. Good. Yeah. So title, subheadings, and when you don't have them, or usually even when you do, topic sentences. And sometimes the final sentences of the paragraphs are very helpful. Here, the final sentence isn't helpful, but very often it is. All right. Does anyone have any skimming related questions? That makes sense. These are some of the basic principles. And then, of course, lots of practice is what helps you refine it even further. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, good. Let's look, okay, little out of time. Let's look at scanning. We'll just do one text there. Now, scanning is, can't remember whether it was Jason or Harriet said, is you're looking for specific, well, we're looking for specific information, and there we're ignoring everything else, like my TV series example. When I'm looking for the dates, I want to know when it will be available. I don't care about maybe summaries of other seasons. I don't care about the actors. I don't care about any of the details. All I want is when will it be released? What's the date? So I look at, to come back to the numbers point, Valley numbers here, of course. Good. All right. Let's share one final article. And here I want to ask you a couple specific questions. So I'm only interested in the answer to my specific questions. I'm not interested in the overall summary of the text. Let's put it in the chat. Okay. I'll write the questions in the chat. Oh, it's meant to be. Okay. Take a minute or two, and when you're ready. Okay. When you're ready, could someone tell me, according to the article, is this a good or a bad situation?
Bad one.
Good. And
Bad.
correct. Bad situation. And how can you tell?
Because the inflation of go up, and so every prices are higher.
Yeah. Prices are
You've frozen again.
Yeah. Is it him
okay.
or is it us?
It's him. He keeps freezing.
Right. Yeah. So I was saying of course, there's a quote which says this is not a good number, tells you that obviously it's not a good thing. And then you would look for other words which suggest something positive or something negative, like towards the beginning when it says this puts pressure on Trump, right? Now, if it puts pressure on someone, that means it's a bad thing. A good report doesn't put pressure. Then it says the word a risk, right? So we can guess it's a bad thing. Good. Next question is a pure factual one. How much did egg prices change?
Well, it says they surged 15%. But I think if you look at like the scale, it shows something a bit different.
Sorry, if you look at what shows something a bit different?
Isn't that the... Oh no, sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. No, never mind.
Yeah. Surged, meaning that might be an unfamiliar word, but the context should help. Sorry. Going up, right? Grocery prices climbed, egg prices surged. Yeah, exactly. So here, of course, you're looking for the word egg and you're looking for numbers to help you with that number. Good. And finally, what might happen next? Anyone? Yeah. Yeah. How could we answer such a question? What are the ways to look for an answer to a question like that?
Maybe to look at the end of the text.
Exactly, because the text is very often, it starts by, of course, describing the current situation and then ends by looking to the future in some way. So you want to go towards the end. Good. That's the first very important thing. And secondly, look about things talking about the future. Anything like this will happen, would, might, could, any language which suggests the future is what we want to look for. So it remain. I don't know. So, for instance, we're looking for under the two lines, right, with the questions, with the links to the other articles, under that section is what we're looking at. Second paragraph there, remained unclear how Trump's tariff plans would shape the policies. The measures could prompt a slowdown, right? If you don't understand exactly what that means, doesn't matter, but those are the kinds of things to look for. And then especially the final paragraph, because when we say, Rally, when you say at the end, usually it is like really the end of the end, usually talks about the future. It, unclear whether this would be bigger if it leads, right? So we're speculating about what President Trump is going to do. They are speculating. So maybe this will happen, maybe that will happen, right? Those are the kind of things we're looking at. Good. All right. Send it there. Anyone have any scanning related questions? Again, like skimming, this is a question of course, in a bit of a different way, but a question of keywords, a question of, yes, being focused on looking for exactly the kind of words you need to look for and recognizing certain patterns, whether it's with numbers or whether words about the future or so on. So, Vali?
So I was looking at the numbers and the percents and the work eggs, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. So anything for statistics, anything for times, dates, things like that. Numbers, absolutely. Yeah. Other things that stand out are things like names and places, right, with capital letters. That also stands out. And then we can start developing a sense of looking for positive or negative sounding words, and we build the skills, which is, of course, part of what we do in the course. Good. All right. As promised, a little later than promised, but does anyone or you or your parents have anything you'd like to know about the course before considering signing up? Any questions at all? If no, it's also fine.
My mom would like to email you to ask you questions on email.
Absolutely, yeah, good. If Harriet and Jason, if you or your parents don't have any questions, feel free to leave or feel free to stay. And then if Valley's mum has a few questions, we can discuss those.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.